So nice to see everybody this evening. Thanks for coming and practicing together. I see some new faces. Welcome. So we're focusing together these days on two texts. The Dogen's Instructions for the Cook is being discussed on Tuesday evenings, and these discussions are being facilitated by the Sangha elders. And then the Genjo Koan, which we chant at the end of the Dharma talk during service on Sunday evenings. Genjo Koan, the koan of everyday life. We chant these over and over again, whatever text that we are using during that season. And as we do that over and over again, we get really familiar with them. And the words, the teachings become more embedded all the time. The phrases, the insights that they are transmitting to us, the clarification is available even below our awareness, so that after a while we can notice something in our experience, and the phrase from a chant will pop up and say, oh, that's what that is. Oh, that's what that's pointing to. So tonight I'd like to talk about and around some of the lines from the Instructions to the Cook and also the Genjo Koan. Both of these texts are instructions for how to recognize our life, the true kind of essential, fundamental aspect of our lives, our true life, the real deal, the real potato. I don't know why I choose potato, but I always think of the real potato. I don't like potatoes. Our actual self is the real potato. Aitken Roshi, my dear first teacher, said, there is no self whatever that is not anything other than a temporary formation of the total environment. That's a really condensed statement, huh? There is no self whatever. You know, whenever we start a sentence with that, the interest perks up. That is not anything other than a temporary formation of the total environment. And that kind of says it all. The life of the self, yourself, is this very progression of temporary formations. This is the base, one of the three marks of existence, which is impermanence, temporary. Formations, which is all the coming together of all of the particulars of this moment, all of the conditions and how they interact. Dogen's text tells us to handle all the ingredients of our life, all of the conditions and the substances, as carefully as if they were our own eyes. Elsewhere, he says, as carefully as if they were our own eyeballs, which is even more intimate. It has even more of a catch to it. To handle all food with that kind of respect, with the respect that we show our own body, hopefully. Respect. Each aspect of our life is a particular ingredient of the entirety, each in its own place at its own time. Harmonious or discordant, it's all a matter of how we view it. So how wonderful it is to live through a day where everything that fills it is precious, is appreciated in this very close and intimate way. The other day, I looked at my car and saw a junk heap. I realized oh my God, I have not cleaned this car in a really long time, and it has seen a lot of use. So I'm so busy usually with Zen Center business mostly, that I haven't even vacuumed the car out recently. And it's filled with the detritus and rubble from all of the pavers and the concrete that we've been using to build the new base for the altar, the Buddha altar in the garden, and that we've been inserting into the garden in various places that are very steep to support the soil, so when we water, it doesn't all run off. Thank you. Do you think I need something like that? And this vehicle serves so reliably, the car and the Dharma vehicle is so reliable. And the 10,000 things that make up our life, we tend to all of them. Notice what's right in front of us, and what makes up this moment. Whatever it is, as asking for our care. We tend to attend to certain aspects of what's coming up and not other aspects. To study the Buddha way is to study the self. We've all heard this teaching. So how does this show up in your life? How do you study yourself? What are these moments that make up the self? What objects today? What situations served you so far today? Made up your life this day? Is there anything apart from what makes it up each day? To take a look like this means we really have to stop. And that's what we do in our practice. We just take a regular moment to pause and take a good look and really appreciate. This is kind of the heart of respect, I think, is really appreciating what's right here. Giving it, allowing it, granting it full life. So although the light is extensive and great, the moon is reflected even in a puddle an inch across. That's from the Genjo Koan. Although the light is extensive and great, the moon is reflected even in a puddle an inch across, or even in a dewdrop. Isn't that amazing? It's true. I mean, it's literally quite true. We have a lot of rain and a lot of drops sitting on grass strands right now, so take a look and see what's reflected. And as we practice and our awareness opens up, morsel by morsel, bringing with it the realization that whatever we are paying attention to in this moment, whatever is the object of our awareness, is lit up in awareness. This light reveals the subjective and objective as one whole experience. We're really studying, in practice, we're really studying subjectivity. what we identify as the subjective experience. And we have this word that we oppose, that is oppositional, which is objective, what is objectively true. That's really an interesting dual concept there. What is objective and what is subjective? We study this. Excuse me. Although the light is extensive and great, the moon is reflected even in a puddle an inch across. The dustiness of the back seat in my car is lit up in awareness. Is my life at the moment. Every time I go there, I say, oh yeah, oh right, I forgot the car. I have to do something about this. And I behold it. I behold the rumpled, dusty remains of old activities and chores, which is true generally. We're always dealing with the dusty remains of old activities. And in this moment, even this thought is the self right now, even this is self. What I am experiencing this moment is different and the same as what you're experiencing. We each have our own position in relation to what is arising. All of this are the ingredients of our life, what we call my life. You listen, you hear these words, these ingredients, and we are all together in this one infinite dish. In the language of the instructions to the cook, the infinite dish of our life. The casserole. What are the ingredients of today's casserole? So then we should remember to handle them as carefully as if they were our own eyes, to handle all food with respect. So looking at a housekeeping mess, we attend with respect, meaning not with judgment, disgust, denial, pride, criticism, frustration. The house can be really messy. But merely when the time is right and the need is up, just cleaning it up, just attending to what's needed. Maybe just the place where you do your zazen or your vows. So I talk about the messy car that I have with respect. I do want to clean it up, and I will. And I know that when I do, it's going to be so much fun. You know, when you finally set yourself to a task that's been on the back burner for a long time, there's no reason innately why it was put off. You just don't get to it. And then when you do, you just can do it. You can put yourself into it and enjoy every single suck of the vacuum. But I bring up my messy car because so much of what bedevils Zen practice is the belief that it's all about being perfect in some particular way, looking good, rather than about awareness, presence, living fully, and with the respect that is the natural function of attention. The natural function of attention is respect. What is the self? What is the self after all is said and done? Part of the wisdom of the Buddha way is that question, well, what is this self anyway? To study the Buddha way is to study the self, to realize what makes up experience and what it is exactly that I am identifying as myself. There's never an end to it. The qualities of oceans and mountains are infinite in variety. That's from the Genjo Koan. The qualities of oceans and mountains are infinite in variety. We can all agree, oceans, infinite, mountains, infinite. There's a koan in the miscellaneous koan collection. It is Be a Mountain. And when we work with this koan, we can really explore the infinite characteristics of a mountain and its posture, where it's situated, what life it supports, and what life supports it. A mountain. So next time you're hiking in the mountains, look even more closely than usual. What makes up this mountain? And you're part of the mountain. In a situation like that, be a mountain. So walk through a day as a mountain, or walk through a moment as a mountain. When you're feeling really discouraged, be a mountain. in a certain way, what we're doing when we practice, when we work with that koan, is we're enjoying our capacity for imagination. We bring the imagination to bear. And the imagination is a very, it's a remarkable aspect of our composition, our imagination. Be mountain. You see children pretending to be something, and you can see the internal concentration that comes about. And we too do that when we imagine, when we are the mountain. So anyway, the other day I talked about an almost impossible task, which is to count all the things in your house. Material objects, first of all, give it a try. And when we talk about things, we're talking about material things and immaterial. So thoughts and sounds, everything that occurs within the flesh walls of the house. Even if you're dedicated to simplicity and a modesty of acquisition, the 10,000 things of a life are irreducible. They're irreducible. It's one of the joys of moving. When you move, there's that moment where, well, first of all, packing up and packing up and packing up and moving out and packing up. And it's like, I thought it was all packed up. And you open a closet and start all over again. But then finally, everything is out. You stand there in the open, empty house. It's quite a moment. It resonates. It's like an echo of whatever happened in that house. It's kind of like a moment of death, I think. That last moment when we leave the body. I don't know. In my imagination, I think that there's a connection there. The house of the self is like this. What makes up the self is an infinite composite, emerging, continuously acted upon by conditions in their continuous flow. So in Zazen, we sit and we attend to the continuous flow. When we're free of reacting, or we'll notice that part of the continuous flow is reacting to whatever's coming up. In the instructions to the cook, Dogen urges those of us who have the way-seeking mind of a tenzo, and the tenzo is the cook, to actualize our life by rolling up our sleeves. To actualize our life. To realize the way in action, in activity, in the activities of our unique life. So not only do we practice presence in this moment, but this very presence functions in our activities. We are always saying, becoming enlightened is great, but it is worth nothing if it doesn't function in our lives. And what does that mean anyway, to be enlightened? It means to be awake to each thing, to let the light shine clearly on this moment and everything that makes it up. As soon as we bow to end the sitting period, we're expressing the qualities of awareness in the bow. Not by holding on to the awareness only that we've been cultivating during Zazen, but by completely engaging in whatever activity we now are doing. So bowing, or after the sit, we walk from the zendo. How completely aware are you when you're doing that? Or is your mind preceding the body? It has the split re-emerged, reasserted itself, the mind over there, the body, step, 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 step. What about when you're tying your shoelaces and talking to one of your Sangha buddies? How present are you in that moment? The self that is made up of The words, the thoughts, the bending over, the tying the shoelace, and the buddy. All of it. And the sound of everybody else talking. And the feeling of the room. Sensations in the body. We are actualizing the way. To study the Buddha way is to study the self. And you can really appreciate how infinite this study is, infinite in variety. What are we doing when we're studying something? We are zeroing in on it. In Zazen, the function is stillness. We zero in on stillness. And actually that can be, you always choose one thing, especially when we're beginning a period of Zazen, we choose one thing to zero in on. It can be the breath. It can simply be the sensation of being completely still, which I find very useful, to just be completely still. Pure awareness. Or the listening practice, listening to silence, listening to sound. Listening even into silence, we can realize that there's not just one silence. Silence is also infinite in variety. It's a really rich practice, listening. An infinite field. I was thinking about this morning as I was walking in the woods, and there were moments of complete silence, but it was extraordinary, because not only was it totally silent, but it was scented with moss. The scent of soil. It was part of the sound somehow. So we apply attentive scrutiny and see more deeply into how there is no beginning to this seeing into and no end. In his instructions to the cook, Dogen includes not only the exact activity of cooking, but also knowing who you're cooking for and how many you're cooking for and what do they need the food for. All aspects of the meal will be that'll be offered. Different foods enable different activities. Gathering ingredients, preparing ingredients, serving, preserving, cleaning up. All these activities are part of every meal. A cook's awareness needs to be wide. And this is the work of a Zen center. The meal of Dharma offerings need to be carefully tended to the taste so that the taste is distinct, clear. We attend to every aspect of practice, which is one reason why, I've mentioned a number of times since getting back in person here, how everything that we do, we prescribe, and part of it is that. It's that we're preparing the meal of each moment and wanting to have each aspect of experience be free to be unclouded, to support each of us to just really settle down and relax. Michael Wenger, who was one of the teachers at San Francisco Zen Center, wrote about this Zen Paradox in a short verse. The exact center is everywhere. The whole universe is a collection of corners. If you corner the market with centers, you may lose the open field. That's a really complex little poem, but it's lovely. The exact center is everywhere. Yeah. We say moment by moment by moment, the exact center. The whole universe is a collection of corners. There are so many particulars, the 10,000 things. What happens at a corner? Well, we can keep going, or we can turn. We can see only a portion at a corner. If you corner the market with centers, wouldn't it be amazing if we had a whole bunch of Zen centers in Corvallis? Corvallis, a town of 10,000 Zen centers. But each of us is a Zen center. If we take this really to heart and practice fully, we're each a Zen center. Zen meaning just this, fully alive. If you corner the market with centers, if you get very fixed on just this one little purity thing, you may lose the open field. It's true. This is an open field. We're always coming back to the open, empty field of awareness. Very specific. This is our practice tool, is awareness. So is this moment of life ever empty? Empty is the functional word here, not meaning void of content, but rather open to all possibilities, open to the workings of the conditions that are arising right now and coming together as they meet our state of mind, including every ingredient in its flavor. All together, one taste comes forward. We have this phrase called the one taste of Zen. The one taste of Zen, which is a wonderful phrase to contemplate. What is the one taste of Zen? When I first heard it, my immediate response was to get anxious, because I thought, oh no, what is the one taste? If the Tenzo offers a meal without the harmony of the 6 flavors, says Dogen, the 6 flavors and 3 qualities, he cannot be said to serve the community. So this is really rich. What are the 6 flavors? Salt, sweet, bitter, sour, mild, and hot. There's so much to be appreciated and realized in our own lives in this teaching. In every condition, in every frame of mind, there's the whole potato. Sometimes salty, sometimes sweet, sometimes bitter, sometimes sour, sometimes mild, and sometimes hot. What more can we say about this unique life? So I really encourage everybody to be sure to read the Tenzo Kyokun, Instructions to the Cook. It is filled with these wonderful, wonderful teachings, all to be applied to our everyday. So I'll finish with with a slightly altered last 4 lines of the Genjo Koan, which we will be chanting this evening. Because the nature of our unique life is eternally present, the wind of Buddhism actualizes the gold of the earth's offerings and turns our life's long river into sweet cream. May it be so.